Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with this week's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to my sponsors. Now, these are companies that I used as an athletic director, really used them, and they made my life as an athletic director so much easier. You should be using them too. So listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Wednesday Wisdom guest, and then go and visit these sponsors, particularly if you're not using them. You're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to thank our good friends at Hometown. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their solutions that include, well, digital ticketing, of course, but they also have fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction, and a lot more. Whether you're an AD or a principal, Hometown is going to help you save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. That's hometown.com. We also want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program, and it was a great experience. And while they were earning their master's degree, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. You've heard me say before, probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. But they've got a lot more products that are really going to improve your campus. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out all of their great products today. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but as an AD, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just love the platform. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank Gipper. Go to gipper.com and let their team help you become a social media marketing guru. Whether it's a social media post to celebrate a victory or an entire newsletter to showcase the great work you're doing, the team at Gipper will have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to gipper.com and don't forget to mention the podcast. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that connects you with everybody in your school, students, coaches, parents, and the information that comes back, you're going to be surprised maybe. It's going to be 98% positive. You still get to hear from those squeaky wheel parents, but the survey allows you to address their concerns and keep them from turning into something big. But having all that positive data, that's incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with your principal or maybe even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to their website and check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. You put one of their units in your gym lobby or your main school hallway, it's going to be like a magnet for kids, for coaches, how about sponsors? Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and don't forget to mention the podcast. We also want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. We use Snap Raise at our school with great success, and it'll work for you too. Check out all their other great platforms on the website. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's Snap Raise. That's snapraise.com. And we want to say thanks to Home Campus. Home Campus is the official sports administration platform for a number of states, for thousands of athletic directors. And even if your state uses a different platform, you can be a home campus school. I'm telling you, their athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com for more information. And as always, don't forget to mention the podcast. That's homecampus.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We're welcoming a new member of our Wednesday Wisdom team. If you've been listening this past year, you should have heard Dr. Chelsea Ailes' full interview. If you missed it, you need to go back because it had some really good nuggets in there. Chelsea has a tremendous background. She was a competitive NCAA diver. She was a very successful coach. She was actually the diving coach at my school, where I was an athletic director in Tallahassee. Now she is a lecturer at the University of Alabama in their sport management program. Very active still, let's say, in the world of diving and educating others. And we want to welcome Dr. Chelsea Ale to Wednesday Wisdom.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to be able to talk to you all about wisdom.
Well, you and I were talking before we hit the record button. You've been very active, I'm going to say, in the last several months with some publications on a topic that I think has a lot of meaning for our listeners, both high school and college ADs and coaches. So I'm going to get out of the way and say, Chelsea Ale, what do you have for our listeners on Wednesday Wisdom?
Perfect. So I want to talk a little bit today about Olympic sports, non-revenue sports, and the importance of them. I know in collegiate athletics, a lot of it comes down to making money, trying to get revenue. I mean, I teach a collegiate athletics class, and we talk about how money kind of determines everything that happens. I'm at Alabama. Obviously, we're really successful in athletics, and there's a lot of money that goes into that. And I know when the NIL conversations first started, people were really excited about the potential of athletes getting paid for their name, their image, and their likeness, which sort of turned into athletes getting paid for a whole bunch of different reasons. And then House versus NCAA came out. And for sports like basketball and football, it's a great thing to think about them getting money and getting revenue and getting paid. But what the downside is a lot of people haven't been thinking about how that affects the Olympic sports and how that affects the non-revenue sports. I am not anti-paying athletes. I think if they deserve it, that's great. But what happens is that money has to come from somewhere. So it's not like all of a sudden universities get an extra $20 million and they can just say, okay, we're paying these athletes now. The money has to come from somewhere. And what we're seeing is that the money's coming from Olympic sports. So there's roster limits, roster cuts, they're cutting programs entirely. And it's really unfortunate for those Olympic sports. Now, again, I'm not anti-paying anyone. And I think the fact that these athletes that are making universities millions of dollars are able to make money off themselves, I think is a wonderful thing. But I also think we need to be mindful of how that affects these Olympic sports. And it's not just college that it's important, it's all levels. Because if you think about it, so I'm a diver, my background is diving. So the easiest way to explain this is the sport of diving. But I realize that not everyone cares about diving. But so in diving, we have USA diving and AAU diving. You've got club, high school. But the way that the athletes get the best training is at these college programs. Because if you think about it, like the University of Alabama, we have football money. We have all these great resources that these athletes get because of all the money that comes in from other sports. There is no program in the United States that could give you the same resources for diving that colleges do because colleges have nutritionists, athletic trainers, they've got sports psychologists, mental trade, like they've got everything. So without being able to practice in college, you don't have all of those great resources, and there's nothing that the national governing body can do to sort of build the same type of program because they don't have enough money. We're also not funded by the government. So we don't have the money to be able to build these like crazy training centers for the sport of diving. So without collegiate diving, you're actually going to be hurting your Olympians to be able to make it to the Olympics because they're not going to have the same type of training. They're not going to have the same type of, I guess, help with that. And so then if they do go to the Olympics, they're not going to be as successful because, again, they're not going to get the same type of training. But if you also go all the way back to the grassroots level, if you tell me that I'm going to do the sport of diving for my childhood and we're going to spend all this crazy money because diving is not a cheap sport. You're going to spend all this money and then you're not going to be able to get a college scholarship. You're not going to be able to do it in college. These kids aren't going to dive. They're going to pick other sports. They're going to pick sports where they can get a college scholarship and where they can make money. And so we're actually hurting our pipeline as well to be able to get college athletes to actually, or to get athletes to do the sport in general. Like Diving was really expensive, and my parents were like, okay, you need a full ride to go to college. So I worked really hard to get a full ride in college. But if we didn't have college, then why would you do it at the beginning? And so not only does cutting collegiate athletics hurt those athletes, it also hurts the sports in general. It hurts them right from the very beginning because people aren't going to start doing these sports if there's no college scholarships, there's no opportunity to compete in college. You're also not going to see them being able to be as successful again because you don't have the amazing resources, which is a challenge and it's going to be really tough. And then on top of that, we've got LA 2028 happening, I mean, in LA soon. So wouldn't we want to put our best foot forward, our best United States athletes to compete, to represent the United States really well? And the best way to do that is to grow our sports and make them really popular and really successful. So, cutting sports is an easy fix. Cutting athletes is an easy fix. Doing roster limits is an easy fix for money. But what we're forgetting is how it affects the whole sport in general. But also, we need to think about what collegiate athletics used to be about. It used to be about, amateurism, which is fine if you pay them. So I'm not saying it has to be that, but also about like time management, goal setting, leadership, being a better human. And the more athletes you have, the more diverse your athletes are, the more diverse your athletic department is, the more people get to know other people, and they become really successful. I mean, I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for diving, collegiate diving, and it's sad that we're seeing that because we want to pay some athletes that it's hurting other athletes. It's also just killing other sports. And I worry that if we don't try to protect the Olympic sports and non-revenue sports, we're going to see that they're slowly going to start dying. And it's not just my sport. It's wrestling, gymnastics. I mean, we're already seeing it happen in other sports. And so it's like we need to make sure we remember what athletics is about. It's not always about winning and money. There is a lot of other things that come from it, like being a better person. But we also want to set ourselves up to look really good, I think, in the Olympics. And if we do the quick, easy fixes of cutting these programs, it makes it not as successful when the Olympics actually show up. So,
Boy, so many points that you brought up. I guess I'm going to start with, and not necessarily most important, but I think it was one of the first things you said, talking about the Olympics and the Olympic sports. Not football, not basketball, not baseball, but swimming, diving, track and field for me growing up. And even things like gymnastics. I grew up. Here's that cranky old man now. I grew up watching those sports, and nowadays, fast forward, 50 or 60 years from when I was in high school, the Olympics have become. There's so, I'll say it positively. There's so many more Olympic sports in the Olympics that I think have watered down the experience, and it's not for an old guy like me. It's not as I guess special anymore. These sports are now being offered by colleges, and they've got to be funded. And again, you can only spend $1 so many times. I think in America, there's just a big there's too many people that are making decisions. And when the Olympics come around every 4 years, they just go, well, our athletes have been training. They're going to be ready to go. And they don't understand everything that you just mentioned, that, hey, these are, usually student athletes coming out of or still in college that, need funding. We're not like the other countries that, fully underwrite their Olympic teams. And I guess the last thing I'll mention, then I'll shut up again, because I want to know your thoughts. Schools that are trying to come up with their NIL monies. I just saw something this morning, and again, for our listeners, we're recording this on September 11th. I just saw a post this morning that mentioned that this particular Division I school was paying its NIL monies out of student fees and out of other non-athletic revenue sources, which the implication was you're not supposed to do that. But my point is, colleges they need to stay in this arms race. They need to pay that NIL money to stay equal. And so what do? They cut other sports so they can use that money. And it harkens back to those early days of Title IX, where wrestling programs were dropped at a epidemic level so they could, fund, the burgeoning, women's sports, which certainly is, yeah, we're going to fund the women's sports, but we don't want to do it at the expense of other sports. So, did anything I say make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So when NIL, I mean, NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. So it essentially was supposed to just be these athletes getting paid for when their name, their image, and their likeness was being used. So if they're on a video game, if they're getting jersey sales, it was supposed to just be you're essentially making money off of your name, your image, and likeness. And then that turned into getting endorsements from anywhere and everywhere, which turned into people just doing these NIL collectives. And then that turned into the athletes getting paid. And then athletes were going into the portal because of money that was being promised to them, even though that's against NCAA rules. And it's like, well, where are we stopping this? And so House versus NCAA was basically like, okay, we want to actually pay the athletes so that NIL and paying the athletes should be two separate things. I feel like they kind of get intertwined
Yeah.
together, especially with these collectives and everything. It's like, so are we paying them? Are they getting a sponsorship? Are they endorsing themselves? Like it's very blurry, to say the least. But it is true. I mean, Title IX is getting affected by this because it's like, okay, well, we have to cut programs and we got to keep women's sports and then that also makes men's sports get cut, which is unfortunate. I mean, you don't see many wrestling programs anymore. You don't see many men's gymnastics programs anymore. And then there's talk about, does football and basketball just become their own collegiate
Right.
athletic area, and then the rest of them do something else? But it's tough because it's like we want to support those athletes that deserve to make money. I mean, if the school's making millions of dollars and if you can get a sponsorship deal, like have at it. The problem is we just kind of are forgetting sometimes, and not everyone's obviously forgetting this, but how that can affect these other sports and then how that just affects the whole ecosystem of Olympic athletics. And you made a good point. I mean, when the Olympics were on in 1996, so long time ago, I remember we were traveling the country in a motorhome and we had to stop and watch the Olympics all the time. I was like, we have to watch them. Now you can just stream them whenever. But we also now at the Olympics, you've got, NBA players playing and you've got professional athletes playing, and it changes it, which is great. But at the same time, some of these other sports, like when was the last time you saw diving on TV just in over the 4 years that the Olympics aren't taking place? We should be using the Olympics to uplift these sports and get people to care about them and be excited about them. So when the Olympics do happen, you've already now have a vested interest in those athletes, where we don't really see a lot of Olympic sports very often. I mean, we see swimming now, which I think is great. You see certain swimmers. We care about collegiate gymnastics. I think Livy Dunn did a great job of helping with that. But a lot of other Olympic sports you don't really see on TV very often. You don't see people talk about it. When I ask in my class for people to, give me examples of sports, the Olympic sports are not the first ones that come to their minds. And so we have to promote these sports for 4 years and then get people really excited for the Olympics and then promote them for 4 years and then get people excited for the Olympics. It's not just all of a sudden, okay, well, they're on for 2 weeks, we'll care about them a little bit and then we'll go back to basketball and football and care about these sports for about 2 weeks and go back to basketball and football. But it's a money game. I mean, everything is professional sports, youth sports, it's all about money. And, I can't say we're going to get a multi-billion-dollar media contract for diving because that's not going to happen. Which I think is why when some of these colleges make these decisions and stuff, it's not that they don't care about the Olympic sports. It's just where's the money, where we're going to get it, and what's a quick, easy fix. Where instead it's like, okay, maybe we step back a little bit. Maybe we try and fundraise a different way, or maybe we try and secure Olympic sports, but try and make sure we're also getting money for these other sports in a different way. Because cutting is the easy thing. Cutting is super easy. I mean, I was at a university, they cut our program, and a week later, football got an extra $1 million budget increase. And it was like, well, that's interesting timing. But if we're a little bit more strategic and thoughtful about how we get money and also where we cut, there's plenty of ways to make like little budget cuts that add up that don't require us killing these athletes' dreams or ambitions or goals or just killing the sports in general. And I'm not blaming college for the fact that certain sports are not as popular now, but it's definitely not going to help them grow if there's no collegiate athletic pipeline for them.
Yeah, it's definitely something, again, somebody old like me, you just hate to see, these sports, um seemingly begin to fade away. Hopefully it's not too late. I mentioned earlier that you've been very active recently, with articles and publications. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, find out more from you, or maybe get involved and help promote, the reinstitution, if you will, or saving Olympic sports, how do they get in touch with Dr. Chelsea Ale?
So there's a couple different ways. I mean, LinkedIn's always an easy way to do it just because, you can easily just look up Chelsea Ale and you should be able to find me. You can also email me at my university email address, which is CALE at ua.edu. And so that's another way to do it. And I'm happy to talk to people. I know every time I publish something, someone reaches out to me and, wants to have a conversation or has a question. I had someone one day reach out and they were like, my son's going through recruiting right now, and I'm not sure how to handle this whole situation. And they weren't even a diver. They were just someone who was trying to figure out how to navigate this whole landscape for collegiate athletics. And so we talked about it. So I'm open to talking to people about anything. I mean, the more we can sort of help and share and give knowledge and advice. I mean, again, this is not Olympic sports versus everyone else. It's
Oh, no.
just
Mhm.
let's make sure that we're saving all sports and promoting all of them in a positive way so they don't go away.
Oh, no, absolutely. I'm right there with you. Well, Chelsea, thanks again for sharing with our listeners. Thanks for all that you do in this space. And we're definitely going to get you back on Wednesday Wisdom.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate your time. And if anyone needs anything, feel free to reach out.
For our listeners, we do encourage you to reach out. We also want to say thanks. We also want to remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do Wednesday Wisdom just about every week and just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So please join us next time for Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, before we go, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors again. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Home Campus, it's a platform you're going to use every day. Go to homecampus.com. Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Go to Ohio University's website to check that out. Hometown, they're changing the game for ticketing, for websites, for fundraising. Go to hometown.com. Gipper, go to gipper.com and let them turn you into a social media marketing guru for your athletic department. Vital Signs Wall of Fame, you'll find them at vitalsignswalloffame.com. Snap Raise, if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's Snap Raise. Huddle, go to huddle.com, and Athletic Surveys, go to athleticsurveys.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast.